Budget, reliability, and performance. Do those three words actually go together? Hey guys, TheAirsoftTech here. Today we're going to be figuring out if those three words do really go together. If budget, having a really cheap budget, reliability, wanting awesome, just awesome functionality, having it to where it just doesn't break down, it's not going to break down in a long time. And then performance, trigger response, good rate of fire, range, accuracy, all that stuff. But keep in mind, all this has to be done on a budget. So my friend sent me this ARX 160, the by Ares or Elite Force, whatever the heck you want to call them. And he said, make me something reliable, awesome performance on a budget. And so I was like, okay, I'm up for the challenge. So taking into account all three of those things, we want something that is going to last a long, long time. We don't want to have to open it up once a month, once every 2 months, once every 3 months. At the best, we want to keep it just the way it is for like a year, maybe 2 years, if we're lucky. Because we don't want to have to open it again. We just want something reliable. So, in addition, he wants something that can perform well. Something that has decent trigger response, decent rate of fire, decent accuracy, decent range, and just decent FPS, all that stuff. We don't want 500 FPS, but we don't want 40 rounds a second. We want something almost stock performance, I guess you could say, but on a strong 11-1-volt battery, which is what he wants to run. In addition, all this has to be ran on a good budget. So he actually gave me the gun, and this is the budget's not counting the gun, and I think $20 worth of parts. No, actually wait, $40 worth of parts, and he just said, do your best. I was like, alright. So let's take it over the bench and actually see how I did. All in all said, the Beretta ARX 160 is a pretty sweet looking gun. I really like it. It's simple to take apart and all that stuff until you get down to the gearbox. When you get down to the gearbox, you'll get something really complex, really weird and finicky, and it's just, I'm not a fan of it, honestly. So I like the externals and the whole takedown of it, but I despise, and I mean despise, the gearbox. As I mentioned before, the Beretta is a really simplistic gun as far as the externals and takedown is concerned. You only have to do really 2 steps to get down to the gearbox. Taking off the outer barrel and taking out the lower. When I got the gun in, the first thing I did was work with the hop-up unit. To cover performance, I installed an R-hop and flat hop with bucking. With the R-hop, we're getting 240 feet range with .28. In addition, this modification only cost the customer a mere $25 and will never wear out. I'd say our 3 goals of budget, reliability, and performance are certainly covered. Now, down to the gearbox. The first thing I did to the gearbox was actually install a 3034 based MOSFET. This one's designed by Kelly Colburn. It's one of his mid-gen ones. I think it's his 3rd or 4th, I'm not really certain. However, this is there to protect the trigger contacts, mainly because the micro switch that comes in Ares and Elite Force guns is just so susceptible to 11-1-volt that if you just run 11-1-volt on the gun, you're probably going to blow it in the first mag or so. Micro switches just aren't the greatest. However, when combined with a MOSFET, they are fantastic, and then that's when I start to love them. I actually installed the MOSFET in such a way to where it's hidden and completely covered up below the gearbox in the lower receiver. So there is no MOSFET in the battery compartment, and it is just rocking its own little way right in there. Unfortunately, the customer wanted to stick with Tamiya connectors. These aren't the greatest, and if he would have let me install Dean's connectors, then it would have bumped the rate of fire up, the efficiency, and just the overall performance of the gun itself. However, Tamiyas are just going to have to do for now. Now, onto the gearbox. For the mech box, I did some basic work really. Shimming, AoE, and air seal are all spot on. To make the gun more reliable, for a mere $10, the customer bought an SHS piston. SHS pistons are tough and will nearly last forever on stock setups like this one. Great choice. In addition, I mounted some bearings on the piston to help the spring. This will help it last longer and will help it to give a more consistent FPS, which is exactly what we're looking for. One thing I did to this gun to help the electrical efficiency was remove these stupid little metal things, little contacts in the stock that allow the wires to be concealed from sight when you fold the stock over, like so. If these things were in, right here, then you wouldn't be able to see the wires, and people don't like to see wires. However, these being in, these little connectors, basically diminish the efficiency horribly. It dumbs down the rate of fire, it dumbs down the trigger response, it is overall just not good for the gun. So I decided to get rid of them. I can always put them back in if the customer desires that. However, They're a real pain in the butt to do, and this method right here is just way better. That's actually all I did to the gun, and believe it or not, it's actually performing awesomely. Budget, reliability, and performance can fit into the same sentence and fit right onto the same gun as labels to describe it. So this gun, though it was quite a bit of work to actually get working properly, considering I got into a box of parts, I like it. I like how it ended up. I just like everything about it. It's pretty cool. This was just my first introduction to the Air X160, and it's neat. I like it, but it's much better now than it was stock. Unfortunately, I cannot provide an accuracy and range test right now. It is pitch black outside, and yeah, that's a thing. So I can't really do that right now. Tomorrow I'm hoping to upload an accuracy and range test on this thing with .28 BBs around 200 feet and have an actual target where I can aim at instead of just me aiming at a tree. But until then, I am TheAirsoftTech. This is a successful build, and it is certainly reliable. It has good performance to it and is budget friendly. I'll see you guys in the next episode of whatever the heck I do.